It was nearly midnight when the roar of a Harley shattered the sleepy silence of Miller's diner. Rain hammered against the glass, thunder rumbled somewhere in the hills, and inside, a single waitress wiped down empty tables under the soft hum of neon lights. Then she saw him. A huge biker, drenched in rain, leather jacket darkened to black, heavy boots echoing against the tiles. His beard was thick, his eyes tired but sharp, the kind that made people look away. A skull patch glinted on his vest. No one else was there, just Lydia, the waitress, and this stranger who looked like trouble. He slid onto a stool and said in a low growl, "Coffee. Black. And whatever's hot." Lydia nodded, trying to hide her shaking hands. The man looked dangerous, but there was something broken in his eyes. Minutes later, she placed a plate of meatloaf and mashed potatoes before him. He ate quietly, no phone, no words, just the sound of rain and the ticking clock. Then the door opened again. A woman in her mid-30s, soaked from the rain, stepped in hesitantly. Her hair was tied messily, her coat too thin for the weather. She clutched her purse close like she was guarding treasure. "Hi," she said softly to Lydia. "I'm sorry, but, do you have any leftovers? I can pay a few dollars if you need. My daughter hasn't eaten since morning." The biker froze, fork halfway to his mouth. Lydia looked at the woman, she recognized her. Rachel. She lived a few blocks down. Used to come in with her husband and little girl before everything fell apart. Lydia stammered, "Rachel, honey, you don't need to." But Rachel cut her off, eyes pleading. "Please. Anything. Even scraps. I can't let her go hungry tonight." The biker turned his head slowly, eyes narrowing. Lydia felt her heart hammer. She'd heard stories, tough guys who didn't like being bothered. Then Rachel looked toward him and whispered timidly, "Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could I, maybe take what's left on your plate? For my daughter?" The diner went dead silent. The biker stared at her. His fork clattered onto the plate. Lydia held her breath, waiting for him to snap, to yell, maybe even throw her out. But instead, the man said quietly, "Sit down." Rachel froze. "Excuse me?" He gestured at the stool next to him. "Sit. Both of you, you and your little girl. You said she's hungry, right?" Lydia blinked. "There's no one with her," she whispered. Rachel smiled sadly. "She's waiting in the car. She's sleeping." The biker stood up suddenly, his chair scraping the floor. Lydia flinched. He took out his wallet, thick and worn, and slammed a wad of $100 bills on the counter. "Keep the kitchen open," he growled. "Cook everything fresh. Pancakes, burgers, whatever you've got. Pack it to go." Lydia stammered, "That's too much." "Did I ask?" She nodded silently and rushed to the kitchen. Rachel stood frozen, tears glistening in her eyes. "Sir, I can't take your money." The biker looked straight at her, voice low and raw. "I'm not giving you charity, ma'am. I'm making sure no kid sleeps hungry tonight." She whispered, "Why would you do this?" He didn't answer. He just sat back down, staring into his coffee like it held ghosts. Movie camera mid-story prompt. Before I tell you what happened next, if you believe small acts of kindness can change lives, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles. It helps stories like this reach more hearts. Red Heart. 15 minutes later, Lydia packed 2 large paper bags full of food, still steaming, smelling like home. Rachel thanked her again and again, but before leaving, she turned back to the biker. "Sir. I don't even know your name." He looked at her for a long moment, then finally said, "Cal." She smiled weakly. "Thank you, Cal. My little girl," her name's Emily. She'll never forget this." He gave a faint nod but said nothing more. She left into the rain, hugging those warm bags like they were made of gold. Hours passed. Lydia locked up the diner. Cal was still sitting there, motionless, staring out the rain-streaked window. Finally, she asked quietly, "You okay, Cal?" He exhaled, a deep, shaky sigh. "That woman, she said her daughter's name is Emily?" "Yeah," Lydia said cautiously. Cal rubbed his eyes. "That was my daughter's name too." Lydia froze. He continued, voice breaking. 3 years ago, my wife left me. Said she couldn't handle my temper, my lifestyle. Took our little girl with her. I was too proud, too angry to stop them. They moved up north. I told myself I'd change, but before I did. He swallowed hard, trying to hold back tears. A drunk driver hit their car. Killed them both. I wasn't there. I never got to say goodbye. Lydia's eyes welled up. Since then, Cal whispered, every time I see a mom and daughter struggling. I see them. My girls. So if buying a few hot meals can make one little kid smile, maybe it's something. For a long time, neither spoke. Only the soft patter of rain filled the silence. Then Lydia asked, "You want me to pack something for you to take?" Cal shook his head. "No. But maybe I'll come back tomorrow. You mind if I help around here? I used to cook before I joined the club." Lydia smiled through tears. "You're welcome anytime." The next morning, the story wasn't over. When Lydia opened the diner, there was a small white envelope taped to the door. Inside was a handwritten note and a photo. The note read, "Dear Cal. You didn't just feed my daughter last night. You gave her hope, and me, too. I told her about your kindness, and she drew this for you." Attached was a crayon drawing, a big man with a beard holding hands with a little girl, standing in front of a diner under a bright yellow sun. At the bottom, in messy handwriting, it said, "Thank you, Mr. Cal, love, Emily." Tears blurred Cal's vision when Lydia handed it to him. He stared at the drawing for a long time, and for the first time in years, a smile, a real, unbroken smile, spread across his face. "Guess I got my girls watching from above," he murmured. "And maybe a new little angel down here too." He took off his leather jacket and laid it across a chair. "Let's start the morning rush," he said, rolling up his sleeves. And from that day, every night, anyone hungry or stranded found their way to Miller's Diner, where a biker named Cal made sure no one left empty-handed again.